Hey guys, this is Smithy. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is extra special because we are going to talk about eyeshadow palettes, and not just any eyeshadow palette. We're going to talk about my top 10, actually 12. Top 12 eyeshadow palettes so far. I wish I could say this includes high-end, drugstore, indie. Truth is, all 12 of this except one. Except one. Everything is from indie eyeshadow palette and one is from high-end. So if you're ready to see my top 12 so far, keep on watching. I am not ranking this by any order because I want to keep it a secret towards the end of the year how these palettes rank. But if you go with any of these palettes, I guarantee you would not be disappointed because the quality is absolutely there. It's just on the basis of color story, what you gravitate towards a little bit more, you would absolutely love it. Let's begin with the eyeshadow palette that I've traveled with so far the most. And I have actually traveled this time a lot of places, and I'm going to talk about the Adept Cosmetics Flying Fiddles palette. As soon as this was revealed, from the packaging to the inside of the palette, everything is just absolutely gorgeous. I have used this tons on my channel as well as like off my channel. I just love the color story. I feel like this is such well curated color story, and I love that all the pans are magnetic in Adept palette so that I can like pop one or two shadows if I do not like gravitate towards, and I often do that. I generally do take Daffodil out because I'm not a big green person, and there are a bunch of shadows that shift to green, so I can like get a green look if I want, but I generally do take this out and pop and plop like a multi-chrome purple shade or a deep dark purple shade. I love this palette to death. I really love the way how this came out from Adept Cosmetics. I cannot wait for Adept to come out with like more neutral palettes in this kind of format. I especially like these shimmers, like the ones that are more like smoother, more textured. It feels so elegant looking on the eyes. I cannot even tell you. I'm not a big fan of their squishy formulas, like the way they had it in like Heather Austin palette, the Scrubs shade, the Austin shade, which is like too emollient. That tend to crease on me, but these do not crease on me, and I love this formula. I am an affiliate with Adept Cosmetics. My code is SMITHYSONY to save you 10% off. Okay, let's move on. The next eyeshadow palette that I'm going to talk about is a new one. This brand was discovered by me in 2024. I think this is their first eyeshadow palette, and I purchased it immediately because I wanted to give it a go, and the color story seemed like neutral but colorful. That is my preferred way of it, and the swatches were just drool worthy. And I'm talking about Krypton Cosmetics Burnt Forest palette. This palette's quality is outstanding. This is so stunning, you guys. I felt like the mattes, the shimmers, everything just blended so beautifully. I actually just damaged the shade. Has it happened to you whenever you take this magnetic tool? And it's always happened with me with a black shadow. I don't know why. As soon as I take it out, a chunk of black shadow comes with this magnetic tool, and it irritates me so much. It's actually happened with my Natasha Denona black shade too, and it's happened here now. I love these shadows. The way it blends is like a dream. I absolutely love it. The only shade that feels out of place for me is this blue shade, and that is why I generally do combine this with my Glaminatrix Into the Night palette, and I feel like I get amazing looks when I combine these two. And my favorite thing to do is plop this maroon shade into this white shade, because that is like, you know, I can live without it. And I also love to include this blue in the place of that blue shade, and that gives me so much variety of looks. I really love the way how this looks on my eyes, and the way it performs is absolutely breathtaking. I'm so amazed with the quality of Krypton Cosmetics eyeshadow. I cannot wait to see what palette they come out in future, because they did absolutely a smashing job with this palette. Cannot wait. Okay, now let's talk about Gourmand girls, because Gourmand girls, they do eyeshadow palettes in such a way that it always excites me. And this time they did a collaboration palette with Steph's Beauty Stash, And Steph is a very good friend of mine, but I'm not being biased here. This truly is a very unique palette in my collection. When I saw this palette and when I opened this, I was like, this is truly something so special in my collection. It might look like pops of so many shades and colors, but when you use like 2 or 3 shades in your eyes, the shadow looks that you get out of this palette is amazing. They were curated so well. Of course, the neon shades I'm a little scared of, but I just pop that in the inner corners and it looks so beautiful. And you can go with like a loose fluffy brush with these shades and make it more wearable as a crease shade. And I have done like several looks using this palette on my channel, how to get more like wearable looks using this palette, and I've loved absolutely everything about it. Use Steph's code or my code with Gourmand Girls. Mine is Smithy Sony to save you 10% off. I'm not sure what Steph's code, I think it's Steph or Steph10, but I absolutely love Nueva Vida palette. For summer, must have. Okay, let's talk about the only eyeshadow palette that is a high-end brand, and this can be, it's not versatile by any means. It's a very everyday palette, a very neutral palette, a very like a staple palette in my collection, but I cannot get rid of the quality. If you have it, and it's not a new palette by any means, it's just new to me in my collection, and I'm talking about Makeup by Mario palette, and this is the Master Mattes #1, and I am glad that I went with #1 just because I felt like the #2 palette, the cooler tone palette, would have not showed up on me so much. And this palette is just a staple brown palette in my collection. I absolutely love the way how my looks turn out whenever I wear this. My favorite, if this was a magnetic palette where I could just like mix and match some of the shades, it was like a game over kind of situation for me, because I love the fact that these browns perform differently on my eyes, and I have a purpose of it. If I'm going for like a weekend trip, I'll just take this and like a quad of like multi-chrome shadows and I'm good. Just plop this kind of shades in my crease and one special shade on my lid. I am set. This never fails me, so I definitely had to shout it out. This is again Makeup by Mario's Master Mattes #1, the Warm Neutrals palette. Okay, let's talk about another palette which is new to me because this was released last year, but this came in my collection early this year, and I have non-stop used this so much in my life that I have to give a shout out to it. And this is Unearthly Cosmetics Sorcerous Smoke Palette. Now, Unearthly does a lot of sales on their website, and I'm pretty sure I will fall for the sales during this like, you know, Halloween season, that Black Friday kind of deal, because they really do good sales, and my eyes are glued onto that Dreamer palette. I just have so many color stories that look like that, but this palette is so very special. I'm glad that this is in my collection. This is how the Sorcerous Smokes palette looks. Again, this is a very staple palette in my collection. It's like neutrals with a twist in my opinion. I love the shimmer shadows as well as the matte shadows in this palette. Like shimmery, these shimmers are so finely milled. They're very sparkly on the eyes, but very elegant looking. It's not textured by any means. It's not like squishy by any means, but they look so elegant on the eyes. Even the greens in the palette, outstanding. Like my favorite shades, I've mentioned a ton of times on my channel, is this shadow and this shadow. It's just so magical, you guys. It's just beautiful. I cannot recommend Unearthly Cosmetics enough. All the palettes that I have from them are absolutely outstanding, but this by far is my top tier palette from them so far. Okay, let's talk about a new indie brand to me. And I don't even know why I did not try this so far. I actually know, because a lot of the palettes that they've done is very colorful and like out of my comfort zone. And I do like colors, but I do like muted colors. But when they were coming out with like a neutral collection, I was sold right then and there. And they came out with 2 palettes. I think you guessed it. It's Cosmic Brushes, and I'm talking about the Cooltrals palette as well as Neutrals palette. This is the Neutrals palette, which is more of a warm tone color story. It is such a stunning palette. Such a stunning palette. The way it performs on the eyes is what makes it so special for me. It's absolutely amazing. This again is like a spicy neutral palette for me, and I absolutely love the looks that I create with this palette. Similarly, I also want to talk about the Cooltrals palette, but I clearly cannot choose. Otherwise, I would have purchased the only palette that I really want. But I love my purples, and these blues do not look like blue. They're more like denim-like and purpley, and I really love those tones. Like, I really love the mauvey tones, the purpley tones. Talking about like blues, these are the only two blues that I like. Like, these three are the only blues that I see. That's creams blue, but they're so wearable, like such denim blues. I really like it. Love the quality and the way it shifts and shines. The sparkle is absolutely amazing. I would highly recommend Cosmic Brushes. I don't even know how am I gonna rank all these palettes towards the end of the year, because these are all lovely palettes. I definitely wanted to give a shout out to Cosmic Brushes. Okay, let's talk about Simply Posh Cosmetics. Out of the palettes that they've done, I feel like this palette is absolutely a smashing hit from them, and I'm talking about the Coastal palette. I feel like their Cozy Cabin palette and their Coastal palette are my favorites from their line. This is the one that was released this year, so I'm including this right now. This is such a stunning color story. Again, this is a colorful palette, but it is a muted colorful palette, which I absolutely love. And the center row is full of duochrome shadows, and these are the ones that never crease on me. And you can apply this with a brush, with fingers, and it still looks so elegant towards the end of the day. Even after you have applied these shadows for like 11-12 hours, it will still look radiant and shimmering and shifting. Love this color story. Absolutely love this shade Serene and Salt Water. This tropical shade is so special, and this Sun Bath shade with any of these shadows, it looks it immediately transforms it to like a neutral. I absolutely love it. This a smashing hit. I do have a code with Simply Posh Cosmetics. My code is Smithy to save you 10% off. These are so good. Okay, let's move on. Obviously this is in no particular order, so I'm just gonna say it. Okay, the next brand, actually I have two palettes from the same brand, so let's cover that. The first palette that I have to talk about is Ensley Rain Cosmetics Groovy Garden palette. You know how much I love Ensley Rain Cosmetics. This palette screams to my soul in just some other way. The artwork, from the artwork to the color story, it's just beautiful. Now, if you ask me, I am sold by their mattes. Like, I am just sold by their mattes. Like, these mattes just give me in a 12 pan eyeshadow palette, like or a 14 pan eyeshadow palette, and I'll be set. Like, it's so blendable, it's so buildable. These mattes are so drool worthy. What I really feel is like I would have avoided, if I could, I would have avoided like trippy retro, just because it screams so much of green to me, and these are all like different tones of green. I definitely wear trippy more than any vintage vibes more than anything else, just because it's more like a bronzy gold, green gold, and I love that. And I love this lava lamp shade, and of course this blue pink shade is amazing. And this is the most wearable green out of the lot. So out of these three shades, and of course I can mix and match this palette, but the matte just does it for me. I just love this palette. I'm glad that this is in my collection. I am loving the tones, and I use this so much. I don't think there's a week gone without using this palette, like in my everyday life, unless I've been like traveling. There's not been a week that I've not dipped into this palette, and that's saying a lot. Like, I literally do not have that mushroom here. The mushroom here is going, this is going. Like, this is fading. Green is fading. Can you believe that? It's so pretty. This is amazing palette, and the quality of Ensley Rain palettes, you know how much I love them. And I love that these palettes, the shimmers in this palette is not that squishy formula. It's more that like that smoother formula, which I love from Ensley Rain. I love this. Love, love, absolutely love this. Kiss worthy. Love it. The second palette that I have to talk about, Ensley Rain, is their newest Flutter palette. Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. I love the fact that this is smaller. So this is as compared to the Groovy Garden palette, clearly a smaller palette. This is a 12 pan eyeshadow palette, but the color story is what is just amazing, just amazing. Like all the shimmers are shifty, they're smooth, they're just beautiful on the eyes, beautiful. I just love this palette with my whole heart. I cannot recommend this enough. This is just stunning, absolutely stunning. I'm actually wearing the sister palette to this on my eyes, which is the Flourish palette. This one, look at that. For the color lovers, this is amazing, absolutely amazing. I'm wearing this hot pink and this orange all across the eyelid. I'm wearing this green on my eyelid, and then I plopped this shade on the inner third of the eyelid, and this is on the outer corners, and that's what I have on my eyes. And you can see how shimmering and how beautiful this is. I love it. I am an affiliate with the brand. My code is SMITHYSONY to save you 10% off. But look at it. I love it. Love it. Okay, let's talk about two more palettes to go. One of my favorite palettes that they have done from Beute Bar is the Dead Roses palette. Oh my gosh, this came out in Valentine's Day as an anti-Valentine's Day palette. This palette's color story, it's drool worthy. I love it. I do not care that much with like that hot pink and that red shade, but everything else is just wonderful, magnificent, like just out of the world delicious. The shifts, look at the shifts. It is so breathtakingly beautiful. I cannot even, like, I've put this back in the place just for you guys so that you can see the palette at all in its glory, but I generally customize my palettes all the time so that I can just customize it, make it my own, and then I generally use this palette as like my spring palette, my summer palette, my winter palette, and customize it according to me. I love it. I love when I can make my own palette and it looks like new. I love it, love it. My top favorite shade out of the palette is Drop Dead. I really love that shade. These multichromes are outstandingly beautiful. This EU shade, stunning. These mattes, amazing, amazing. I have a code with Beute Bar, it's SMITHYSONY to save you 10% off. I am still eyeing their Deandra Nicole palette, the purple palette, the ultraviolet palette. Oh my gosh, that's stunning. That is stunning. You know me and my purples, you know. I just love it. Love it. Talking about a cooler tone palette that leans a little purple, right? So the last palette, the new indie brand that I've tried this year is, I cannot even believe that I waited so long, but this was truly my perfect color story from them, and I'm talking about Fantasy Cosmetica, and this is the Cradled In Ice palette. This is such a stunning palette, such a stunning palette. I love a good mauve color story, and this is mauves, purples, and blues all together. The shimmers are shimmering, they're beautiful, they're elegant looking, they're shifty, and the mattes, they blend like a dream. They are so buildable, they're so blendable. I just love everything about this palette. I just love it so very much. I cannot wait to see what Fantasy Cosmetica has coming for us in future, because now this brand is on my radar. I absolutely love them with my whole heart. I'm cursing myself, why did I not try them before? Like, this is stunning, absolutely stunning. I want them to come out with a neutral palette in this format, like 12 pan. I know they have a Warrior palette which is more neutral leaning. Just come out with another one. I would love it. I would love it. But that's all that I wanted to talk about, the eyeshadow palettes that absolutely knocked my socks off. They impressed me in 2024 so far. We are in July right now, almost at the end of July, and these palettes have absolutely loved it. And looking at the ratio, you clearly know how much I love my indie palettes, and there are so much more coming my way, and there's so much I know it's going to be holiday season in like just in the blink of an eye, and then the brands will come out with tons and tons of palette. I cannot wait for them to come out with a color story that calls out to me, because I'm not a collector by any means. I just love makeup. But whatever calls to me, that is what I buy. But that's all for today, guys. Do let me know in your collection, what is your like top 3 palettes in your collection that came out in 2024. Let me see if I have it in my collection or not. But that's all for today. If you did like this video, you know what to do. Do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and ring the notification bell so that you're notified every time that I post next. I generally upload 3 videos every single week, every Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays at 9 AM Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.